I'm Anthony Fowler, and this lesson will be discussing the use of Socrative in Google Classroom. The use of Socrative will be for helping with interactive assessment, which is one of the trends in online learning. Interactive assessment just means that students are able to see how they're doing and what their progress is during an assessment. The Google Classroom will be used to help with lesson planning, specifically with the flipped classroom concept. So in flipped classroom, students go home, they review lectures or material, and then they come in the next day ready to actually apply the knowledge that they learned the day before when they were at home. So we'll get started. The first application is going to be Socrative. So when you first log on to Socrative, this is the screen that you will be on. In order for you to add a quiz, you have to click on Library, and there you'll be able to create a quiz. The importance here is that when you create your quiz, you want to make sure that you have all of your questions lined up in advance, and then the creation of this quiz and the way it is used in Socrative allows for interactive feedback. So we'll see how we're going to do that. So in here, you can either create a blank quiz, you can generate questions using AI, copy and paste questions from another source, or you can import another quiz entirely into this. We'll start with blank quiz, and we'll just call this online classroom management. And here we will create some multiple choice questions. As you can see over here, you still have those AI assisted options. So the first question will be, what resource can be used for interactive assessments? And then here we'll give a couple. So first we'll start off with Socrative, of course, because that's going to be the correct answer. We'll also choose some random ones, YouTube, and we'll close it out with Grammarly. And then we'll of course select the correct answer. We'll get rid of this last one. And then here we can also add an explanation. So assessment tool. Okay. All right. And then if we want to add some more questions, we can. But to finish this one, we'll hit that check block. And then we'll go, and if we want to add another blank question, we can do so. So let's make it a true false. Socrative is the only interactive assessment tool. And of course, that's false because there are others. And then if we want to write explanation, we can, or we can choose to leave that blank. And then now we have two questions on this quiz. So to finish out this quiz, we'll go ahead and save and exit. And then to actually use this quiz in a classroom, we'll go ahead and go over to launch. So from here, there are multiple different methods. The only one we're going to cover here is going to be the quiz method. So we'll click on the quiz method, and we will click on that quiz itself, and then this is where we can select how we're going to deliver it. So instant feedback is what I was talking about earlier. This is that interactive option that allows students to answer questions in order, and they cannot change the answers. And after each question, the student gets immediate feedback on how they're doing. Now, there are some other options. Open navigation allows the students to answer questions in any order, and they can change before they finish. And that's even more interactive because now they can go through and learn the material. But the drawback is you don't know if they actually understood the material when they got 100%, or if they got 100% because they went back and changed it. And then of course you have a teacher paced option where you can control the flow of questions and monitor responses as they happen. So this is more of like an in the classroom activity where you put the question out or put the quiz out there, the students start the quiz, and you can view what it is that they're doing. For the instant feedback, here are some of the settings that you can select. So you can require names, show question feedback. You can also shuffle the questions, shuffle the answers, show the final score. So I want them to know what their final score is. So I'll go ahead and select that. And then you can also, if you pay for the pro option, make it to where the students only have one attempt. So from here, we'll go ahead and launch. and right now there are no students. In order for me to get students, I would have to put out this particular information as the classroom environment for them to join, and students can join Socrative using just this and then put their information in and actually be a student in the classroom and take the quiz interactively using Socrative. So that's one of the benefits. The students do not have to provide like an email address in order for them to get access to the classroom. In an article by Archilla et al., the authors discuss that Socrative is a free to use and therefore very accessible resource and allows students to remain anonymous if they want to, and the results are not graded, or they don't have to be graded. It could be helpful for useful feedback for the students because they're able to see that information as they're going through the quiz, and the fact that it is an electronic application and that it's so interactive facilitates positive interactions as the students are going through the course. So that's one of the benefits, or some of the benefits, of using Socrative. Now, in a flipped classroom environment for Google Classroom, I got to this particular area by actually creating all of this. So for Google Classroom, I implemented a flipped classroom model for an FTX train-up. In my unit, FTX is just a field training exercise, but the important part to take away is we did a flipped classroom. So what I did was, after creating this Google Classroom, I went in and created the classroom itself, and this is what I named it. And then in the classroom, I went through and created different topics. So here, where you see the big blue create, hit create, and then here you can create a topic. So we'll create a topic and we'll say learning, to make it easy for us. We'll add that topic. And the way to implement this lesson planning is to go through and figure out what the material is. So in a flipped classroom environment, you are going to identify resources that you want the students to learn from. It can be them just reading chapters, but it's always better if it's some type of lecture or video as well that they can glean through and learn from. The reason for that is it feels a lot more personable than, hey, read these 5 chapters and come in ready to discuss it. But you can also have materials that they're just simply going to read. So then we'll go in here on the learning, and from here, actually go back out. So classwork, topics, or excuse me, create, and then here we'll go and actually add material. So I'll title the material whatever it is I want to title it. So read ahead. I can have a description, so information on understanding how students learn. And this is what the students will see. And then I can upload whatever document I want them to view. So I can browse through some of the documents on my computer. I have a couple of videos in here. So let's say we want to use this video here. I can upload that particular video, give it some time to upload. And now that's there, and I'm pretty much finished with this particular material. So the next thing that I'll do is I'll post, and once I do that, any student that is logged in will be able to view that material. Now what I want to do, so that it's not just material hanging out here, is assign it to this particular topic. So I can just drag it and drop it right underneath that topic. So now whenever I tell the students, hey, go to the learning topic and go through all of the material that is located there, they'll come to the learning topic and they'll go to that particular video and they'll watch it in preparation for what's going to happen the next day in the classroom. The benefits of using Google Classroom are discussed by Anna Malai et al. And those authors use Google Classroom to help them teach English in their particular environment. And the way that they used it and the reasons that they chose to use it was because it's mobile friendly, it's cost free, and it's hosted in the cloud. So students and instructors have access wherever they need to. Instructors, obviously, as you just noticed, were able to upload assignments, videos, and whatever else they need to upload, and students could go through and digest that material as needed. This is helpful with a flipped classroom environment because you need the students to be able to go through all of the information in preparation for class the next day. I found whenever I used the flipped classroom environment that having something this accessible available for the students to use helped them to be more prepared for what was going to happen the next day in the classroom. It also made it to where we could do a deep dive on the actual material instead of me presenting the material that day and having limited activity or limited time to go through what the material all meant. This assists with the students be able to creatively apply all the information that they've learned, and it also assists them with applying critical thinking since they will be digesting the material before they come into the classroom. And once they come into the classroom, they can ask those very critical questions and very specific questions on the material instead of trying to realize or figure out what questions they may have 15 minutes after they just got presented the material. So the sources for both of these resources are located here. This is the source for using Socrative. This was the source that I referenced for using the Google Classroom. Hopefully you'll be able to go out, use Socrative to help with your interactive assessments, and use Google Classroom to help you with planning your lessons in a flipped classroom environment.